everybody, Ira Miller here with Homes Around the Village's YouTube channel, Monday Night Live, our first Monday show of June 2022. So I see we have a few people in the queue already, which is awesome. Guess what? We're back in the office conference room. We're not in my home office. So we have a special guest, or I should say home studio, not home office. But anyways, we're here in the conference room at the office. This is kind of where we do all of our talking with folks when they come in. They want to talk with me and interested in homes in this area. So this is the conference room we usually use. This is where we've been holding our Monday Night Lives really forever so long until I kicked my son out and made him go to college and took his room over. So then we set up our home studio, which I kind of like a little better. I mean, we used the green screen technology back there, and so my whole background is all of what you see up there on the monitor, but this is going to work for today because we do have a special guest coming up here shortly. So let's see. So Kevin, looks like Drew got the jump on you today. So can't wait, Ira, have a great show. Who is the special guest? And that's a secret. I don't know, did Christian say anything? Did you say anything, Christian, about who the special guest was?
And I said what the topic was going to be.
Okay, cool. All right, let me kind of silence the phone here because we'll be interrupted. No, Kevin, you can't call me tonight on the phone. All right, so Kevin, good evening. We got your photos, and we're going to wait to show Mr. Geo Jax. We're going to wait to see him a little bit later because I want to get as many people possibly on this. So I'll probably keep asking Christian how many people are online, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our special guest on, BJ Spencer, in a little bit. We want to kind of wait for everybody to kind of get up and going as well. So, 34. Jerry.
34 at the moment.
Thanks for joining in, Jerry. So, really good. Yes, Jamala. A financial, well, he's actually a lender. He's not a financial advisor. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about what my next video is. How are we coming along with that video, Christian?
The tax one?
No, the one we just did about when people come in here, what to expect.
That will be the one after the taxes that will.
All right, so our tax video, we have a brand new tax video coming. When is that?
It should be tomorrow. We just finished it today.
Okay, so we have a new addition to our team, Willow. She's kind of in the background a little bit. We might bring her out sometime. Every now and then Christian will sneak out on camera as well. So anyways, we're teaching Willow all the tricks of the trade here, and so she can kind of take over sometime as well. So, but yes, Mr. Spencer is with Live Oak Lending, and he'll be coming up here shortly to talk to you about what not our next video is, because our next video is about taxes. I kind of updated that video for y'all. And then we're going to talk about really kind of what the process is when people come to get with me and talk with me about real estate and homes around the villages. So that's going to be not this next video, but the video after. So lending certainly comes into play with that video. So that'll probably be, I would say, Thursday or Friday. That one will be coming out. A little hesitant about that one because the last time I put something like that out. Somebody had a comment about how dare I ask for, some of this personal information, but it is what it is. It's part of the process, and that's what this whole next video is going to talk about. The process from the time somebody arrives all the way through to when you get with me, and it's going to help you with your experience here, especially if you're coming to look at homes in the villages. Really, I want to give you an idea of what you probably should do, and I make suggestions of what you should do from the time you get here, like I said, to the time you leave. So, and then if you're going to buy a home, we need to go through that process as well. So that's why BJ's here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about that, about pre-approvals and approvals, and maybe what the difference is. That might be some questions I might have for BJ about what's the difference between being pre-approved and approved and pre-qualified. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to get to. All right, so as long as Gio says that's okay, Kevin, then we'll build up the viewership here. All right, so does anybody have any questions? Pine River, you're listening. Do you have any questions that I could possibly help answer? So, hi Ira, I have a friend from New Jersey that was thinking about buying at Del Webb Stone Creek. I live and love the villages and have seen many videos by very dissatisfied Del Webb Pulte buyers. Wow, really? So, Mushkie, I would love to see those. Actually, I'd be very interested because, look, I'm not going to refer you somewhere if anybody's ever going to be dissatisfied. And here's what I can tell you about that. Del Webb Stone Creek is not for everybody, just like the villages is not for everybody. So we try to fit, and that's kind of my task, is to fit you all with the right community. So you have to listen to people. And I don't try to sell you on anything. I just kind of listen and make suggestions. I ask questions, and then we kind of go through that whole process and figure it out, whether this is, whether the villages is for you or not, whether on top of the world, whether Del Webb, Stone Creek, Spruce Creek, Stonecrest, the plantation, villages of Citrus Hills. There's so many out there, and each of them are different. And so it really takes somebody like me asking the right questions to try to figure out which is the best community for you. Then we go look at them and we see if that's the place for you or not. If not, we'll keep going until we find the right place. But with all their different attributes, their negatives and their positives, everybody will fit into a community. It's like putting pieces of the puzzle together. So that's my job, to help put your puzzle together and figure out which is the best place for you. So, but you can email me at homesaroundthevillages@gmail.com, Mushkie, if you have some certain videos that you have seen that are negative about Del Webb. And what I would tell you about that, okay? I honestly feel like the real estate agent, whoever they worked with, didn't do their job. I think that is probably the people who are disgruntled and unhappy is because people chose maybe Del Webb Stone Creek because of the prices. not because of what the community has to offer. And so you can't just go off of prices. You have to fit people into the right community and where they're going to be happiest, because look, people go to these active adult communities for a reason. They go to them for certain reasons, and they go to them to get out of that community what it is that community has to offer. For example, Del Webb, Stone Creek. I call that a resort-style community. Why do I call it a resort-style community? It's smaller. It has one pool. It has this huge resort-style pool, has a little island in the middle of the pool with palm trees. I mean, you've seen them at these resorts, right? It has, in the recreation area, it has a hot tub, it has a steam room, it has a sauna, has an area for a massage, it has an indoor pool for exercise, like water aerobics and stuff like that. And it has a state-of-the-art fitness center. And they also have some classes in there, some exercise classes, all in one area. So that is what I call a resort-style community. It is nothing like, I would say, the Villages. So the Villages is huge. There's, I believe, about 4,000, 4,200 homes in Del Webb Stone Creek. I think they plan on doubling to about 7,000 homes, I think, 7,500. They're going to be somewhere in there. The Villages has over 80,000 homes in the Villages. 3 town squares. They have all these swimming pools, all these golf courses. I mean, the Villages is a destination. The Villages is where so many people come in the wintertime to rent, to visit, to play, to get out of the cold and get out of the winter. It's a very transient community. There's a lot of people, a lot of hustle and bustle, has the squares. The place is just, streaming with people in the 3 different squares. So each community has its different attributes. So if you ask me, they were asking, what are your thoughts on Stone Creek? It's not what I think of Stone Creek, it's what you think of Stone Creek, right? So I just kind of explained a little bit about Stone Creek. Ocala Preserve. Ocala Preserve is probably about 5-6 miles away from Del Webb Stone Creek. I call that a private country club style community. Similar to Del Webb Stone Creek, but it's more like a private country club. They have a 5-star restaurant inside the community. They have lap pools. They have, it's more like if you lived in a private country club. Then you have On Top of the World, which is their own entity. Then you have the Villages, as we just talked about. So each one of them are very, very different. And so it's just up to somebody like me who can, talk about it, and we'll have a chat, we'll ask questions, and we'll figure out which is the best place for you. So, like I said, it's not for me to say Stone Creek is for you. Do I like Stone Creek? I love Stone Creek. It is what it is, for what it is, right? It has a golf course. It has a little bar and grill in there. Not so, it is golf cart accessible to shopping now, but it's quite a distance. You'd have to, once you left the community, you're probably, from the entrance to the community to shopping, you're probably a good 15 minutes away by golf cart just to get to the area where they're shopping. That might not be too bad because most of the people who live there are retired, right? So, but anyways, it's small, it's quaint, has one area just where all the recreation is. It's not spread out around like the Villages. So it's all different. let's see, how often do I have to provide proof of funds? So, you know what? I would say that's a good question for BJ when he comes up, and we'll talk about proof of funds and really about how often you should provide it. I'm saying probably after 3 months, it's probably obsolete, but we'll see what BJ has to say about that, okay? So, hi Janice, thank you for joining us. Janice Keller joining the chat. I really appreciate you joining in with us. And Jamal is telling us Skip Smith does not like On Top of the World. So, I was on Skip Smith a week ago, last Wednesday, I guess. And I think he made a comment. I didn't know I don't think he really said, oh, I know what he said. Skip Smith says he hasn't been there in a while, and he would really like to go back and revisit it. So when I was on the show and we were talking about On Top of the World, I think he said he was there like 10 years ago or something, 10 years ago. He was kind of wondering what it evolved to. And I think he and I are going to get together, and I'm going to go show him how On Top of the World turned out. So I don't really think, that he doesn't like On Top of the World. He didn't like what he saw 8 or 10 years ago. I think he'd have a different point of view today. Do you go to Crystal River as a buyer's agent? What communities do you like there? Jerry, yes, I do. I think everybody has heard me talk about Villages of Citrus Hills. That's in Crystal River. So I really like that community. I've even talked about moving into that community. I mean, they have state-of-the-art amenities over there. They have a huge workout facility. They have a beautiful spa area. They have a really nice indoor pool area. Very, very nice. A 5-star restaurant, great golf course. It is not a 55-plus community per se, but they like to say it's a 55-plus suggested. But I do know there are some multi-million-dollar homes in there that there's children that live inside the gated part of the community. Not many, I haven't seen many, but beautiful community. I really like it over there. And then they have something out, so Tierra Vista, I think, is the name of the gated portion of it. Then they have a community outside of the Christian, can you look up Villages of Citrus Hills and see if Tierra Vista is the name of the inside part of that? But really like it on that side of side of Florida and the West Coast over there. Really nice fishing if you like to fish and like to boat. All right, so Amanda's asking, if I don't have enough down payment, do I have to sell my condo before buying in the Villages? Is there some type of financing that avoids the down payment requirement? That's a question for BJ Spencer. He's here. We're going to bring him on here shortly. So he'll answer that question for you. We're going to hold that question. All right, but I want to go back to Mushki Patamas. Mushki, just to kind of reiterate one more time before we leave that subject and then we're gone off of that. It says there are many videos detailing their stories. I'm just saying, it takes a professional, and I'm not trying to boost myself up, but I can tell you, there are so many real estate agents out there that don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to take care of their customers. They don't know how to fit people in. All they want to do is sell a home. It's sad. It's really sad the way especially in times like now. When you have a super hot real estate market, man, everybody gets a real estate license and everybody's a realtor. All they are order takers, right? That's all they are. Oh, you tell me you want a home between 400,000 and 500,000, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, about 2,000 square feet. Let me see what I can find you. And then they take you over there. Okay, here it is, exactly what you're looking for. And they sell you a home. Don't even, the community on the surface looks great, looks beautiful, it's clean. But for whatever reason, they don't like it there. It might be too small. It might be too far away by golf cart to go shopping. There might not be the entertainment that's offered like in the villages there. There's a ton of reasons, but you have to be, as a real estate agent, I've been doing this now going on 23 years. You have to be able to ask the right questions and find out what people are looking for in a community first. And that's what I'll tell every single one of the people I meet. We need to pick the community first before we even look at homes. And so I can't tell you how many people who I've met will tell you exactly that. I tell them, they want to go out and see homes. I'm like, no. We need to look for communities first, because this is the reason why. This is exactly the reason why I say no. We're not going to go look at homes. We need to figure out which community you like first, and then we'll go look at homes in that community. It's like putting the cart before the horse. Oh, we're going to look at homes just to look at homes. No, I don't do that. I'm sorry. We fit you. We find the right community. We go. We spend the day looking at communities, figuring out which community you like best. Then we go look for homes. That's the proper way to do it.
By the way, it was Terra, you were right.
Terra Vista?
Yeah, that is the neighborhood in Citrus.
Okay, there you go. Terra Vista, inside the gates of villages of Citrus Hills. Love that area, Jerry. So, how many people we have?
We have 54 at the moment.
All right, so let's see. Oh, and there's Nancy. Hey, Nancy, how are you? So Nancy Scroy here with us. Thank you for visiting us. Hi, Nancy. She says, I think he would. It's come a long way. So she's talking about on top of the world. So they just went ahead and got a home in on top of the world. All right, so listen, Patricia Navarro, she's asking about HELOC. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and bring BJ in, because since we're getting these finance questions, we're going to want to answer from a professional. So BJ, why don't you come on in and join me right over here in this chair. Ladies and gentlemen, BJ Spencer. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put my microphone over here.
Okay.
Where it's a little more for both of us. So,
All right, thank you for having me.
appreciate you coming in. So we're getting all these finance questions. We have, let's see. Here, this one right here by Amanda. If I don't have enough down payment, do I have to sell my condo before buying in the villages? Is there some type of financing that avoids the down payment requirement? So
There's a couple different ways to tackle that situation. There is a bridge loan. They're a little more difficult. That'll bridge the gap between from when you sell your property to when you purchase here in the villages. One of the easiest ways and the most common way that I've seen customers of mine purchase in the villages when they own properties up north is to go ahead and sell that property up north. Talk to Ira. There's a lot of great rentals, short-term rentals around here. Go ahead and sell your property up north, move down and rent short-term. Then you can take your time and find the property in the community, like Ira said, that fits you. and we'll get the financing in place in the meantime.
But I think she's kind of asking, is there a program available where they don't have to come up with a down payment? Is there like 100%? I guess, Amanda, you're asking, is there like a 100% conventional loan?
Financing? For a conventional, it's a 97% loan. So it's very close, 3% down. You can do that with the conventional financing. If you're a veteran, Veterans Administration has by far the best loan possible. If you or your spouses are a veteran, you can finance 100% with a veteran's loan.
So there you go, Amanda. I hope that kind of helps a little bit with your question. If you have a follow-up, you can go ahead and ask that, Amanda. So Sandy, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Sandy K. And then Muskie, yes, we're talking about on top of the world. You're right, there is some, one over around Tampa, but we're talking about the one in Ocala. It says, Hot Job, we'll come back to your question. We're gonna do some finance questions. What are your thoughts on using a HELOC for a down payment on a home in the Villages or on top of the world?
You can definitely something you can do. You can take a HELOC out on your current property and use that as a down payment. What you have to keep in mind is when you're financing your property here in the Villages, you have to qualify with all of your monthly debt. So that HELOC that you just took out is going to be included in your monthly debt to income ratio. So as long as you qualify with that loan, it's not a problem to do that.
And is there a penalty? So if you're taking out a HELOC on your current home, and then you go and buy another home with that HELOC for a down payment, is there a penalty you have to pay that HELOC back? I mean, is there like a time frame? Is there a period of time that you have to keep that HELOC open? Can you pay it down ahead of time? Or are there penalties like that? Do you know?
Most HELOCs now, especially since the crash that we had in 2008 and the laws that they put in place, really there's no prepayment penalties for these loans. They're very consumer friendly. And there's two different ways you can open a HELOC. HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. So you can have a fixed rate line of credit where it's a fixed term, or you can have an open line of credit, which works much like a credit card.
All right, that sounds good, yeah. So let's see, let me think. Okay, so let me see if there's any financial questions. Is there anything that you want to talk about as far as, let me just make sure there's nothing else is it difficult to get a mortgage if you're retired and not selling your home up north? Thank you, William, for that question.
William, no, it's not. I mean, retirement has nothing to do with it. There's no age restrictions on it whatsoever. The main thing is the debt to income ratio. So, I mean, if you make enough money, you can have several mortgages, several properties. Every client that I have has a different situation. So the best thing to do is to give me a call. Like Ira said, I tailor loans individual for individual people because everyone's financial situation is different, and different loan programs. That's why there's such a variety of loan programs out there, and I'll find the one that fits your situation best.
All right, cool. And so let's talk about, since someone's talking about VA loans, whenever anybody talks about a VA loan to me, I like to talk about closing costs on a VA loan. So what are your thoughts about closing costs on a VA loan compared to a conventional loan?
I think that they're both comparable. The closing costs there's ways lenders play tricks with closing costs, and the way they do that is they'll offer the client a higher rate for lower closing costs or no closing costs. So basically, like I said, when I interview people, it depends on how much money they have down. If you're kind of tight on funds for putting money down, obviously we want to eliminate those closing costs. What we can do is you pay a little bit higher rate, and we'll have the lender will pay those closing costs for you. You will have no closing costs at all. Now, if closing costs aren't a big deal for you, what you want to do is take advantage of the best rate and go ahead and pay those closing costs out of pocket.
And also with a VA loan, it was my knowledge that you're paying PMI up front until you hit the 80 percentile mark. If you get a 100% loan with a VA loan, is it true that you are paying all that PMI up front up to the amortized 80%?
That's not true. I think you may be thinking of an FHA loan, but VA is very similar. There is an upfront fee for VA loans, but VA loans do not have any mortgage insurance at all.
Okay.
So it depends on your certificate of eligibility, how many times you've used your VA benefits before. So when I interview you, we'll contact the Veterans Administration and find out what you have left on your certificate of eligibility. I will also need your DD-214, which tells me about your discharge status and that you're in good standing with the United States military and able to tap into your VA benefits. Now, the Federal Housing Administration has, it sounds very similar to VA, where there's an upfront mortgage insurance premium. And with the FHA, in addition, there's a monthly premium, and that premium is on for the life of the loan. And this is one of the reasons why I tell people, when I talk to clients and they say, well, what are you looking for in a loan? Well, I want the best rate. It's a strange thing to say, but you don't always want the best rate, because I can give you a rate of 5.25%, let's say, conventional mortgage. A better rate is 5% FHA, but with that FHA loan, you're paying mortgage insurance. So actually your monthly payment is more with a lower rate, if that makes any sense. So I'm looking for the best loan for your situation.
Okay, great.
So a little something to think about.
All right, so let's see, I had another question about VA loans. What is the, if you currently don't have a VA loan, what is the most you can borrow on a VA loan today?
Today, it's somewhere, I mean, it's unlimited for VA loans. It just depends on what you qualify for with income. So I've seen VA loans go up into the millions of dollars.
Really?
Yep. There's VAs, like I said, if you qualify for a VA loan, it would behoove you to take out a VA loan, because there's nothing better. Now, I love FHA's got a great program for credit scores, that if you've had a couple of nicks in your credit in the past, it's a great program. And you don't have a big down payment, I'd recommend that program. Conventional is great if you have stellar credit and your debt to income is low. So those are the things that I'll kind of explore as we talk and as I advise you through the mortgage process.
Wasn't there like a cap at some point where like 452,000 was like the most, and then you could let's say you had a home that already had a VA loan on it, you had $200,000 left on that home, and you qualified for another 252 or whatever. I mean, that's what I knew VA loans allowed.
Yeah, the VA used to be, there used to be county loan limits, so that's since been done away from VA. FHA still has those county loan limits, so it's in the $600,000 range. I would have to look it up, but it varies from county to county. And that's why these loan programs are all different. USDA has a great program as well. That is restricted by where the property is located and what your household income is. And it's just like you said, you got to look at each individual customer, and you find the community first, as I will find a loan for you first, and then move forward from there. There's a lot of great loan programs out there, and a lot of people believe that they don't qualify for loans, and they really do. There's so many good programs out there.
Great. So Patricia's saying, I'm a veteran, but isn't it true that sellers in the villages aren't even considering VA loans over conventional loans and obviously cash offers? And I always thought that to be true because I always thought that or knew that VA loans were very expensive as far as closing costs to a VA loan. I mean, well over $10,000 was what I've experienced in the past for people. Is it not true anymore?
It's not true. Like I said, I don't know what lender you've worked with, and there's a difference between closing costs and prepaid items. Now, closing costs are like the cost of doing the loan with the lender. The prepaid items that are in there that a lot of people consider closing costs are your first year of homeowners insurance that has to be paid up front. And then they'll escrow for 3 months of homeowners insurance to get that account started for the next time your homeowners insurance is due. Your property taxes that are prorated, and you have to pay those. So those aren't closing costs per se, but like I said, VA's just a great program. Now, Patricia, you were saying about these cash offers. What I've been doing, because we are in a very competitive market right now, and there's a great way to combat that and to win the deal. And the way to do that is to get with a good lender, give them all your documentation, and have your file pre-underwritten so that you can make a solid offer. Once your file's pre-underwritten, as Ira was saying earlier about pre-qualification versus pre-approved, what a good lender should do is get you through underwriting and get you pre-approved and get you a solid pre-approval letter. When you're ready to make the offer, the lender should call the listing agent and say, you know, Patricia's a rock solid client. We've got her pre-underwritten. All we're waiting for is a signed and executed contract, and it's as good an offer as cash. So a lot of times we can win those deals by doing it that way, and we're beating cash offers.
So that's a very good point, and I want to kind of expound on that idea as well, because a lot of folks that I work with, they want to do a mortgage or a finance deal, and in today's red hot market, there are usually multiple offers on properties, and so cash always wins out. I would say 90% of the time, maybe not always, but 90% of the time, cash is going to win out over any financial contingencies that might be built into an offer. So I encourage people, excuse me, to pay cash, but I also ask this question. Do you want to finance? Yes. Could you buy that home for cash if you had to? And most of the people tell me, yes, but I'd have to liquidate a bunch of assets. I really don't want to do that. But if I had to, I could. So there's a way that we would possibly check off the cash box in the offer, right, rather than the financial contingency box, because this gives us a greater benefit with a seller, and we would be as strong of an offer with any other cash buyer that might be in a multiple offer situation. So I always tell folks, look, go ahead and get pre-approved. Make sure that you let your lender know everything, and you have to get with a good lender who's going to ask all the right questions, and they can tell you, you know, that you're pretty much, what'd you call it, pending?
Yeah, you're pre-underwritten. It's already gone through the underwriter. So we've already taken a look at your credit, we've taken a look at your assets, and we've taken a look at your income. We know you qualify to purchase that home. All we need is an executed contract. Go ahead and make the offer. And you know, as I deal with several realtors in the area. I build relationships with them. So they know that, you know, if you're coming up with an offer and I've had it pre-underwritten, they know that it's a good offer. So we're gonna win those deals for you.
Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we like to hear, so
Yeah.
it gives us the as best and great of an advantage as we possibly can. All right, so let's see. I'm not passing y'all up. You know, a lot of you are asking me questions, but we're trying to stick with the financial questions right now for BJ, and then we're going to go back and move through a lot of the other questions that have been asked or comments we're going to talk about as well. So let's go to one that Amanda asked.
I was looking
Is
at
there a
that.
benefit to using a local lender versus a national lender like PennyMac?
Yeah, there is a benefit to using a local lender. What I own is a brokerage, and you're probably familiar with brokerages if you maybe have an insurance agent for your car. So you go to your local insurance agent, and he doesn't really insure the car, but he shops it out for you. He calls Progressive and Geico and State Farm and all these companies that insure for auto insurance, and he's going to find you the best rate. That's my job in the lending business. So that's what I do, and we're always winning deals over local banks and large institutions because we don't have that huge overhead. We don't have the skyscraper and the brick and mortar buildings that we have to pay on, and we broker deals out. We always will find the best rate for you, and we've teamed up with some of the largest lenders, wholesale lenders in the United States, where we can close loans quickly. We have them on our side, and we're always looking out for your best interest. So I would always recommend going with a broker.
Local broker.
Local broker.
Local broker. All right, very good question. Here's one I want to go back to. I want to go back to William's question. I'm not sure if that was completely answered. Is it difficult to get a mortgage if you're retired and not selling your home up north? I think there's a lot of different aspects. There's something called the debt to income ratio, right?
Correct.
So, William, that's going to depend on how solvent you are, how much you owe on that home up north, and it's going to depend on what your debt to income ratio is. Do you want to expand on that a little bit more about that?
Sure. For a debt to income ratio, what they're looking at is, you know, whether it's retirement accounts or whether you're still working, what your yearly gross income is, and they're comparing it against your monthly debt obligations. So there's two different ratios that they're looking at. They're looking at a front-end ratio and they're looking at a back-end ratio. The front-end ratio is going to be your housing expense. How much is your housing expense compared to your gross yearly income? The back-end ratio includes your housing expense, but all your other expenses. If you have a car payment, if you have any other revolving accounts, credit cards, or if you bought furniture, and that's any monthly obligations that you may have will be included in that back-end ratio. Once that ratio becomes too high, usually it's somewhere around the 50% point, if you just want to keep that in mind. It's not an exact figure, but once that back-end ratio reaches over 50%, it becomes difficult to lend on a mortgage for you. So at that point, we'll take a look at things. You know, people have refinanced cars, they've paid off their furniture, and just to get their debt to income ratio in line.
Yeah,
And
take credit cards off.
Yeah, there's no limit. You're limited really by your income, whatever your income is. So to answer that question, it all depends on your income.
Great. And thus your debt to income. And something that ties right into that, I think, is Hot Job's question, are rates typically higher for a second home or vacation home? And I think they're different if it's a second home or if it's a rental.
Right,
Or if
an
it's
investment property.
investment home.
Correct.
So rental home, a second home is a vacation home.
Correct.
But there's also, I believe, a different rate
Yes,
if
sir.
it's an investment home.
You're exactly right, Ira. The best rate that you're gonna get is gonna be on what we call your primary residence. That's where you spend at least 6 months of your time in your primary residence. The second highest rate, or the next loan that there would be your second home or your vacation property. They're both the same thing. You are gonna pay a little bit of a rate premium for that, but still the rates are great. If you wanna use financing for an investment property, the rate's gonna be even higher. And keep in mind that there's down payment differences as well. Your primary residence, you can get away with a much smaller down payment than you can with an investment property. It has to do with risk layering, and you have these actuaries that have figured out if you're financing an investment property, you're a higher risk to default on it. So they want you to have a little more skin in the game, so to speak. They want a little more of a down payment. So that's
What is that typically? 25% for an investment home?
You're right on 25%. Yeah.
So there you go. And I think that might even tie in with Bruce's question. If someone is not planning on moving to Florida but does not plan to move for a couple of years, how does that affect getting a loan if you want to rent it out the property until you move? And so I think the only difference between a second home, I think the biggest difference is just the down payment, right?
For a second home compared to a primary residence?
No, to what Bruce is talking about.
What is Bruce asking actually here?
Right over here.
If someone's not planning on moving to Florida, but does not plan to move for a couple of years, how? Oh, I see. Yeah. When you're talking about buying a home in Florida, but you want to stay up north for a few years yet and rent this home in Florida until you're ready to come down. That typically is going to be financed as a second home or an investment property. Of course, you have to be truthful on these documents. If you're renting it out, it really should be an investment property, 25% down. Then when you're ready to come down from up north, we can look at refinancing it as a primary residence and lower your rate for you. So it can be done.
Cool. I just want to expound on that a little bit. I had somebody call me last week, Bill. I don't know if Bill is watching tonight, but he's like, "Oh my gosh, Ira, I can't believe the prices that are up there, that they're asking for in Florida." And I said, "Well, if you think these are bad, wait for about 5 years and you're really going to see prices." Now, do I think they're going to drop before they go back up? That's real estate. Real estate goes up and down, up and down. We only have to go back as far as 2009, 2008, 2009 when it started dropping. It continued to drop until like 2012, where it hit the bottom, skirted across for a couple of years, and then started going up in 2015 again. That was a very unusual real estate market for it to last that long. That was a long time for the real estate market to just tumble down. I think there are different factors going on right now. Prices of building homes, scarcity of materials. I feel like if there is a recession coming, real estate's probably going to drop. But I really feel like there's a remedy, a quicker remedy than what we saw way back when. I could be wrong, but it just kind of, history tends to repeat itself. Maybe not to the extent that we saw in 08, 09, 010, stuff like that. But I do tell people that if you're not going to be here, here's what I would suggest. If you're kind of not in the market for a couple of years, this guy Bill was telling me he's not ready to retire. He's 45. He's not ready to retire for 10 years. I told him, I said, "Bill, you think prices are high now? Wait for 10 more years to really see how prices are going to be." Yeah. That's the person who should be buying a rental home now. And in 10 years, when he's ready to move down here, he's going to be so happy that he bought that rental home way back when. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. If you're not in the market for a couple of years, I would say wait. The people who I want to sell homes to are people who want to move down, they want to move to Florida, they're in the market right now. We're not going to try to sell you a home only if you're ready to come down here and buy. I don't really advocate if it's a couple of years buying an investment home. I just don't. I'm just kind of telling you that up front because I think prices are going to go down next year, and who knows, well, probably by the end of the year. I just feel like until this economy gets straightened out, that something's going to happen, a recession is going to take place. If the stock market continues to go down like it's been going up and down, but it's been going down more than it's been going up, I really feel like you need to hold off for any kind of an investment home if you're within, let's say, 2 years of coming down and buying. So that's just my personal opinion from real estate perspective. But again, those longer term people who might be 5 years, 6 years, 10 years away, it would behoove you to go ahead and buy an investment home, rent it out annually, it'll pay for itself. And I think you'd be happy with the results. And that's not a sales pitch. I'm just trying to, give you my best professional opinion on that.
Yeah.
All right. Sandy, if my intent is to take out a mortgage but pay it off quickly, would it be better to take the higher mortgage rate or pay the closing costs?
In that case, you want to take the higher mortgage rate all day long, because if you're only gonna stay in the home for a few years, all that money that you put out up front, you'll never recover that money. So what you want to do is pay a higher rate, eliminate those closing costs because you know you're going to pay it off soon. That's a huge misconception that people have, and in refinancing, I always calculate that for them, because there's a cost to refinancing a home, of course. Are you going to be in your home for how long do you plan on being in your home? Another 5 years, another 10 years? The same with a purchase. How long do you intend on staying in that home? That gives me an idea of, should I tell you about the lower rate? Would I recommend a lower rate, or would I recommend a higher rate? If you're buying something that perhaps for whatever reason you're only going to be in this home for 3 years, take the higher rate and pay less closing costs. Absolutely, that's a no-brainer.
And I think Marcia, my friend, she absolutely agrees with that as well. So I want to give Marcia a shout out. Thanks for joining in, Marcia. She's over there in Del Webb. All right, let's see. Oh, first of all, Wrestler Mania, thank you so much for reminding everybody. Click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Always looking out for me. Thank you. All right, so contact information. Here's what we're going to do, just so you can get ready. We're going to go ahead and BJ has given me his card. We're going to put that up here in just a second. He also has some QR codes here. And so we're also, if you guys have a smartphone, and you have a QR code reader, you might want to get that ready, because we're going to put these QR codes up there. I'm sure you can go ahead and screenshot, these QR codes, and you'll be able to get BJ's information. Christian's already put his email, or not his email, but his website up there, liveoaklendingusa.com. He's also got his number and everything up there.
Oh yeah, great.
But we're going to go ahead and do that for you as well, so you can save that to your phone if you want to. All right. So we talked to Bruce. Bruce, hopefully we got your question answered about that. I want to jump down to Kevin. So Kevin Jack says, be careful on rental homes, and he's telling you that from experience, because as we may or may not know, I did a video on listing Kevin's home for him over in the village of DeSoto and here in the Villages. And poor Kevin got roped off in a horrible situation. I won't even go into detail about it unless he wants me to go into detail about it. But he was really one of the lucky ones to get the guy out. So I would say, yes, be very careful, do background checks, make sure that only one person is on the lease and only one person is going to, or a couple is going to live in the house and nobody else, because if somebody else moves in, you can kick them out. There's several different different ways to protect yourself. But you know, unfortunately, you have some unscrupulous people who are deceiving and they're not honest, and it was just a horrible situation for Kevin that we were able to help him get out of. So anyway, at a minimal cost, right? Kevin had to spend a little bit of money, but I think we got that money back for you. Sylvan, thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Always like to see Sylvan. Sylvan and I have got together personally before, looked around. Hi Ira, what are your thoughts on Ocala Palms? I see a lot of reasonably priced, nice homes. Always a reason why it's a reasonably priced home. It's because it's an older community, not a lot of amenities in there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Again, I want to just try to get through some of the lending questions. So let's see. Are RA account funds considered differently versus pension income while calculating debt to income?
IRA accounts, if you have a disbursement program set up, they can be used as income. Otherwise, they're just basically assets. So there's a couple different ways to set that up with IRA accounts, but definitely a good thing to have on your side.
Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Nancy's asking, we won't be closing for over 10 months because they're building a home.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, when should we talk to someone about a mortgage?
Well, I would assume that you have a construction loan right now, unless you're funding it out of pocket. But as soon as possible, you want to talk to a lender. There's a lot of unique things that have happened recently also. We're able to lock loans for up to 180 days. What that does is it protects you because we're looking at this environment of rising interest rates. So if you can lock your rate in now for 6 months, and 6 months from now, the rate could be 2 or 3 points higher than it is today. The federal government has to do something to stave off this inflation, and I think that that's the only tool that they have left in their toolbox, unfortunately, is to raise interest rates. So get to your lender sooner than later and ask them if they have a long locking period that they can lock it in for you.
So that's news to me because I've never known you'd be able to lock in a rate for 6 months.
Yeah, they're offered now. You can typically, back in the day, it was a 30-day was a typical lock period for a loan. Then they started 60 days, 90 days. I'm seeing wholesale companies offer 180-day lock programs.
Can you offer those?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
So just to let you know a little bit about Nancy, she's over building a home and on top of the world. She put 20% down. She doesn't have a construction loan.
Okay.
That's all they require is you put 20% down and then pay the balance when the home is ready. So Nancy, I guess, just be cautious because of some of the supply slowdowns that we're seeing and delays. We don't want to get caught getting pre-approved too early on the mortgage approval process, even if it is 6 months. If you jump on that right at 6 months and then all of a sudden they can't get windows or glass or whatever, or appliances, whatever. I mean, it's been known. I don't think they've resolved the supply issue just yet. I'm just saying, be careful. Maybe when you get 4.5 months out, gives you a month and a half cushion, then, you know, but if they're gonna raise rates anyways, I don't know, you can probably tell me this best, but if they're gonna raise rates, I know people are gonna say, oh man, if I can get locked into 6 months, but they're getting ready to raise the rates, should I go ahead and lock in now? And then 6 months goes by and the builder hasn't finished the home.
Yeah, then we'll lose that lock. Yeah.
So
Yeah. We'll
what
lose that.
about, so if that's the case, and let's say 3 months out or 4 months out, you know, they're 2 months to closing, they say, well, we're gonna be delayed,
Mm-hmm.
and rates are still the same, should they reapply
Yeah, I
to
mean,
extend that rate?
of course, yeah. Like I said, get with your lender and talk to them, and if you have a lender that can lock for an extended period of time, they'll take a look at that. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I mean, you don't lock for 180 days for free either. There is a cost associated with that. I'm not talking about an upfront cost, but there's a hit to the rate. It's a lot different than if you're locking for 30 days or 15 days. You're gonna pay a higher rate. But what it protects against, and I think, is these the Fed meetings that have to happen this year, and we know that rates are going to go up probably another 2 or 2.5 points this year. So it's something to take a look at.
I have to go back to something Amanda said. I'm re-going through all of our chats here, and Amanda says, our IRA accounts, funds considered differently. I read that as our IRA account funds considered differently versus, so I kind of blew that one. So anyways, let's see. How long does it take? How long does a pre-approval letter last?
Pre-approval letters typically last for 30 days. Like I said, the best thing to do would be to get pre-underwritten, and I'll work, or whoever is pre-qualified you and pre-approved you will wait till you have an offer. Okay, I'm ready to put an offer. You're working with IRA. Let's put an offer on 123 Main Street. Then IRA will give me a call, and I'll issue a pre-approval letter specific to that property, so that the listing agent knows, we know the purchase price, we have it underwritten, this is a serious offer, and we want you to choose our client's offer over anybody else that you've considered so far. So that's how we do that.
And can you get a term greater than 30 years?
No.
30 years.
30 years. Then, and back in 2008, before the bubble, I remember writing loans for 40-year terms, but not anymore. Those are gone.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about jumbo loans.
Jumbo loans are, they're out there. It's a great product. If your loan amount doesn't fit into conventional and you're going up into nearing $1 million, you're going to be put into what's called a jumbo loan. And rates are still great with them. They're a little different to write than regular conventional mortgages. Typically, people that I'm writing jumbo loans for have unique employment situations, as far as they own businesses, so there's a lot of documentation that's required with jumbo loans. That's the main difference, is the documentation's a lot more stringent on.
What's the cutoff price?
I can do jumbo loans up to $3 million with the lenders.
Starting, where does a jumbo loan start?
You probably would start it after the conventional loan limit runs out, which is in the mid $600,000 range right now.
Okay.
And then you're going to go into the jumbo realm.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So Marcia, I want to kind of answer. So when do pre-approvals? When you do pre-approvals, do you also provide the buyer with the maximum interest rate they would qualify for?
Yeah, you want to, actually, you do kind of want to pad the interest rate a little bit, especially in this market that we're in, because a pre-approval, if I pre-approve you at a 4% interest rate, that interest rate doesn't exist right now. It doesn't make sense to pre-approve you at that rate. So I'll take a look at your credit and your assets, and we'll put you somewhere in the middle. What I typically do is give a rate range for my clients, and we'll put you somewhere in the middle there, and you'll be fine as far as qualifying for that loan.
Does somebody have a maximum interest rate though when they're applying for a mortgage? I just figured it's whatever the prevailing interest rate was. I didn't know if somebody's being pre-approved and has a maximum interest rate, which is kind of how I'm reading this.
Well, it's really not, I don't know how to describe it. It's really not a maximum interest rate. It's, like I said, it depends on if you want your closing costs paid for you or if you're going to pay them out of pocket. I think that's where your interest rate's going to slide. So if you want to take a little bit higher of an interest rate and have those closing costs paid by the lender, that's great. If you don't have a lot of money to put down, if you do have a lot of money, then you'll want to take the lowest rate possible, pay your closing costs out of pocket. So that's where, whenever I'm quoting rates to clients, I'm quoting a rate with a 0 point buy down, they call it, a 1 point buy down, and a 2 point buy down. And that's 1% of the loan amount and 2% of the loan amount.
Cool.
Okay?
Just to kind of reiterate a little bit on that, Marcia, I mean, so it's, from my experience, I've never known anybody to have a maximum interest rate that they qualify for. It's you qualify for a monetary amount, but I don't think you there's a qualification for an interest rate.
Exactly. That monetary amount is what's going to limit you in the interest rate, because it'll push your debt to income ratio too high, and then you just simply won't qualify for the loan. So that's how it's kind of monitored.
Right.
If I understand your question right.
And then what is the current prevailing interest rate right now?
It depends on what your credit is, what type of loan are you doing. Are we going to do a VA loan? Are we going to do a FHA? Are you putting 5% down, 10%, 20%, 40%? These are all questions that will come out when I interview my clients. In general, because everybody loves to talk about interest rate and what's the rate today, we're in the 5% range today. So if you would look on some of the more popular lenders, the national lenders, they may quote a rate in the 4% range. What you need to do is you need to look at the fine print, and typically what that will say is that's with 2 points, a 2 point buy down. So that's 2% of the loan amount. And that's what they want to do, is they want to quote the lowest rate. The lowest rate always isn't the best loan for you. Just keep that in mind.
And I find that when we go around looking at other new construction homes, like D.R. Horton, for instance, or Adams Homes, or Lennar Homes, they say if you use our lender, then you'll only pay this rate, and it's typically a much lower interest rate through that developer, through that contractor or developer, if you use their lender. So I guess that's what they're making you do. You're paying points to buy down that rate.
Right.
And you could probably do that with you as well. I mean, I guess.
Correct.
So you could always buy down an interest rate by paying money up front, if you want to do that.
And you can also, and you can go the other way. You can pay a higher rate and then have all your closing costs and your prepaids, and you don't bring up a cent to the closing table. Everything's paid for. So
okay,
that's that sliding scale that I talk about.
Teresa, where have you been? You missed a whole lot. You're going to have to rewatch this whole program now, because you just showed up. You were late. So you guys stop retracting your messages. There's no dumb questions, okay? Just remember that. There's no such thing as dumb questions on this show. So, Snowbird question, if you buy a home anticipating you would sell it in 15 to 20 years when you age, is it better to mortgage versus paying cash in your opinion? This is a lender you're asking this question to, right?
Of course.
He's
right.
gonna tell you, get a mortgage.
Right. And typically, even where the rates are at now, in the 5% range, go ahead and get a mortgage on your property and then use your money and leverage your money in other financial ways to supplement your income throughout your golden years. If you're in a 5%, it's still historically such a low rate that I would take that money all day long. Especially if you think about it right now, when we're in an inflationary period where the inflation rate's somewhere around 8.5%, and you're borrowing money at 5%. So basically, you're borrowing $1 here, and you'll be able to pay it off with 70 cents later because of the interest rate. You're getting a fixed asset,
Yeah.
a loan, in a high inflationary period. So it definitely makes sense today. And
that's kind of been my situation. I purchased my home like over 15 years ago. I had a 4.5% interest rate, and then it went down to 3, then it went down to 2.5, and I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, all these years I've been paying this high, which isn't high at all. 4.5% historically,
right,
is not high, and even 5% is not high because it's getting ready to go up and go up and go up to combat the recession. I mean, the Feds, they're going to tell you, they tell you that right up front.
Yep.
Right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
It's not a secret that that's going to happen.
That's good.
All right, so listen, we're going to let BJ go. We're going to catch up with some of our other questions. Where's his information, Christian?
So just refresh the photos. Gio's going to be up there.
Okay, so hold on a second. Refresh?
Yep, so just.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you, everybody. Ira will put that information up for you. Give me a call or go to my website, and you can apply right on my website in the privacy of your own home. If you want to talk to me, I'd love to talk to you in person too. Either way, and we look forward to getting you your next home in the Villages. And you got a great guy here to find you a house in the community, like he said, that will really fit your lifestyle.
All right, so this is BJ's card. Here's his QR codes. You can get your phone. You can go ahead and scan that if you'd like to. You can scan his information right into your phone and saved into that phone. And then we'll have BJ back. Yeah. I think it was a good session. You guys had a lot of great questions. I think we were able to answer all those questions for you. So, so for now, thanks, BJ. Appreciate it.
I'll be right back.
All right, so listen. Guess what? There he is. Gio the man. That is an adorable, thanks for sharing with us, Kevin. That is an adorable picture of Mr. Giovanni. I think we've seen those, but we went a little too far. There he is. Cute little boy. All right, so there we go. All right, so thank you to BJ Spencer for joining us today. I'm sure that y'all got a lot of information out of that. I know I got a lot of information out of that. So that was a great time that we had with him. Let's kind of go back up to some of our other chats real quick before I told y'all we'd go back. So let me kind of go back here. Thank you. Willow, I like that. All right, so Hot Job asks, So Jerry Bell, just to go back, yes, sir, I do. I'd be happy. I always love to go up there and visit villages of Citrus Hills and the surrounding area up there. But that's the premier community, I think, gated community up there, and some really good prices actually. All right, so just let me know if you're interested. We'll get Blakely to send you some homes to look at from there as well. Let's see. Our home prices appreciating in Del Webb and on top of the world as fast as the villages. What about days on the market? So, Willow, let's go back to my MLS. So we're going to kind of go up here. Let's take a look. What's going on here in the MLS world? So, in the villages, I've been on vacation actually since the middle of last week, and since Wednesday of last week. So I'm gonna check this out just like you are. I'm gonna see what the inventory looks like, and then we'll answer that question. So, search. All right, so here's the latest and the greatest. 174 matches. Wow. So, I say wow. 174 if you look up here. It's up about 50. Thanks a lot, BJ.
You're welcome.
See ya.
We'll see you again.
All righty. So 174, that's about 50 listings. If we can go back to, let's see, let me come on back here. All right, so we can go back to me. Over here, there we go. So, our home prices appreciating in Del Webb and on top of the world as fast as the villages. What about days on the market? Here's what I would say to you. It's all relative. It's relative to how much the homes are, because home prices are less in Del Webb and Del Webb and on top of the world than they are the villages. So I'd say they're going up probably just about the same percentage as the villages. I'm going to go back to the MLS real quick, just to answer your second question. And what about days on the market? Well, over here, these are my days on the market. You can see in the first 25 homes, right? You're not seeing any 0 days on the market. You're not seeing any 1 day, 2 days on the market. I'm definitely seeing days on market going up. Same way with this group of 25. So that's concerning to me, is seeing the days on market. So where are we at now? We're in the, we're having an issue with this monitor, but 400 and 500, it's just not real clear. But anyways, so here's a few more lesser days on the market, but I'll tell you what, I mean, just a month ago, we wouldn't have seen anything like 25, 80 days, 40, 45. We wouldn't have seen any of that. All right, we can go back. So what about days on the market? So days on the market are going up. Supply is going up. So what happens when supply goes up, days on the market's going up, prices start to come down a little bit. I mean, they're not going to be drastic, you know, because people are going to be jockeying now. There's 174 homes on the market in the villages. in a normal market of 550 thereabouts homes on the market in inventory. So it's still way down, but it is going up, and it's going up and up. People might start panicking. People might start be dropping those prices because they're starting to panic. But I definitely see inventory going up in the villages. Let's go look at one more time. Then we're going to go back to, let's check on top of the world out, because that's kind of like, now when I do on top of the world, as most of you may or may not know, I go on top. Here, let's start this over again. Can't type today. Candler Hills are the higher end homes, and Indigo East are some of the more medium priced homes, and I am seeing 57 matches on the market now and on top of the world. Oh, so as we know, as I think, who was it, Amanda asked me if this was in Ocala, you saw right there that there are homes in Clearwater that are on top of the world. We're not talking about Clearwater, so let's go back. I thought that was a lot of homes. We're gonna go up here and we're gonna say Marion County. Okay, so there we go, dropped it down to 25. But there's your prices and there's your days on the market over here with on top of the world. So on top of the world, it looks like they might even have a little less days on market than what we saw in the villages over here. And then prices of homes, hard to read on my monitor, but they go from 144, 152, all the way to 795. But that's kind of an anomaly down there for sure, I can tell you. All right, we'll go back. And so I think we answered that question for you. Hot job. So thanks so much for that question. So let's see. John Hogan, thank you for joining us. I hope you're still here this evening. Sorry, just now getting back to everybody. Price range at the Village of Citrus Hills. Let me go back to the MLS, and I'll see if I can find. Let's see here. I might not have Village of Citrus Hills. Let's see. Let me take this out. Take all these. Take. Let me see. Let's see, I have, let's see, maybe I'm gonna have to see if just Citrus Hills, there's 6. In Hernando County. So Hernando County, we might be in a different MLS there than we are here. I'd have to go to a different, a different MLS called MLS Advantage. So we won't do that today. but I'd have to find that app for that. All right, but we can definitely figure out what the price ranges are in Citrus Hills. If you'd like, Patricia, we can send you some listings. Wrestler, again, thank you for joining, appreciate it. How is Margaritaville Complex coming along? Last time I heard anything about them, they had just finished the clubhouse on the beach. Oh my gosh, so, that's old news. That beach club has been in existence for
Since we did a
a
video.
couple of years,
At least.
year and a half,
Yeah.
2 years. It's been a while. I mean, when this whole thing started, when the whole super hot real estate market started, everybody kind of went to Margaritaville, Latitude Margaritaville in Daytona, and then they got to the point where they were 2 years out. And they cut everything off because they were just 2 years out. They were so far backed up that they just stopped selling, they suspended the sales staff. And that's why we haven't been back there, because they just simply haven't been doing anything over there but trying to catch up. Okay, let's see, okay. Hoping to move to the villages next year, hoping to find the home of our dreams. And Janice, we'd love to help you find the home of your dreams in the villages.
Did you respond to Kate C?
Am I coming up on Kate C?
She was before. She was before we had our guest on, but it was a unrelated question.
Let's see, good evening, everybody. I don't see it.
It was after WrestleMania, and Mushi posted Potamus.
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
All right, so Mushki. I don't know how to answer that because I've not heard of that. I've never heard that in Del Webb that they had lots for sale. The people wrote the check. They go to signing official papers and then told that someone outbid them. From my experience, if they were outbid, they were told up front that they got outbid. So the way it worked over there was they put everybody in a lottery. And then when lots came up, they would call you and say, you know, if you would choose a certain area, a certain lot, and when lots like that came up, you were called. You'd say, okay, there's a $17,000 lot that's on the market. Would you like to bid over that $17,000? Would you like to bid on it at all? Would you like to just stay at that price? A lot of people say, I don't want to go any higher than that. I'm going to stay at that price. Okay, well, we'll get back with you. And then that's what happens. They go to the highest bidder. But I've never heard anybody going to write the check, being told they got the lot, and then told later that they didn't get the lot. That's not from my experience that I know of. So I'm just giving you my experiences. And so I have not heard that. So the lot was sold out from underneath them. It really wasn't sold out from underneath anybody. They were given the chance to bid higher. I know in a lot of cases, people just say, no, I'll just stay with what I have. Some people got the lot. Some people got the lot for what the going rate was. You know, I've heard of that too. But I'm telling you, the people, I've never heard of a lot getting, well, if you want to say that it was bid out from underneath you, I can see that if you just didn't offer a higher price for that lot. But it's not like you were told that you got the lot, and then when you went to write the check, they told you something different. I've never heard that happening. I heard through the grapevine that Skip Smith was looking to get his realtor's license within the next 40 years. Can you confirm or deny this? I told Skip Smith, there's only room for one realtor here in this YouTube world, and it's not him. It's me. So There you go. We can put that to rest, wrestler. Hi, Ira, I see prices dropping in the villages. Is it because they were overpriced or are prices really dropping? And there you go, Kate. I think I answered your question when we went to the MLS and we looked in the MLS. You can see supply and demand, supply going up, 174 homes currently in the MLS. And so I can see prices dropping simply because people seeing inventory going up and panicking and trying to get their homes sold, so they've dropped their prices. I can see that. However, I'm not seeing prices drop like I saw in 09 and 010 and 011 and all that stuff, you know. And so if that happens, we are going to have a serious conversation. I will do a video based on that experience, because there's something called chasing the price, chasing the prices down. You do not want to do that. And if there's anything I can tell anybody out there, is you want to get ahead of where the prices are going, not follow it down, 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 and just keep your home at the current market, or dropping it incrementally, little by little by little by little, because all you'll do is ride that market right to the ground. And you don't want to do that. You want to get ahead of the market. So we'll talk about that if I see that happening, and you're going to want to get out front there, because you know why? Prices are so inflated right now that if you go ahead and get in front of that market, you'll get your home sold, and you're really not going to lose that much money because they're overinflated anyways. So don't do that. Don't ride your price. Don't ride the price of your home down, okay? Get in front of it. Let's see. Okay. Pulte, Del Webb, we're not following up on the punch list. Weren't making the repairs. Boy, Muskie, you are just adamant about that Del Webb Stone Creek, aren't you? I don't know who you're talking to, but I haven't heard that either. So there is a punch list period. Usually it's 30 days. I've had people come out and ask me to come help them with their punch list, right? But as far as them not making the repairs, that is not my experience. All I can do is give you my experiences with people who I've brought out there to Del Webb Stone Creek, who have purchased a home, gone through the process. So I think somebody's got an agenda, seems like, against Del Webb Stone Creek. And again, as I said in the beginning of this video, I highly think that it's a disgruntled person that didn't choose the right community to start with and is disgruntled, and somebody didn't help them choose the right community. And so now anybody who's disgruntled, they're gonna just say all kind of different things about it. But and I've had that happen to me in the villages when I work for the villages as well. People get disgruntled and whatever, and they just start saying all this stuff. And you know what they say? There's two sides to every story. I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, they weren't returning, oh my gosh. They weren't returning calls and emails. What I would tell you about to that is, okay, so first of all, now that I think about it, that person you're talking to probably didn't even have a realtor. They probably walked inside that sales office all on their own, went ahead and got with one of their salespeople, right? They're disgruntled. The rest is history. What I can tell you is they should have gotten with a realtor like me, had that realtor take them in the sales office, and I'm telling every one of you, and I'm not just saying this just to try to promote myself and make money or whatever. You need an advocate. These salespeople in these sales offices and in these developer sales offices, they're there to make money, obviously. They're there to sell homes, obviously. They're probably so super busy that, they might not have got back to you in a timely manner. That's just the way the real estate market's been. It's been crazy. Sale after sale after sale after lottery after lottery after home after home after lot. It's just been crazy. So you know what? That very well could have possibly happened, right? They got with a bad sales agent in the sales office. What I would say is, had you had somebody, a realtor like me, take you to that sales office, now you have an advocate. If you're not getting something done to your home, who do you call? Your advocate. If the salesperson in that sales office isn't answering you, who do you call? Your advocate. This is why you have somebody like me take you to these sales offices, introduce you to a sales agent, so you have a neutral sales realtor assisting you with these sales agents in these sales offices, because you need an advocate, right? So that's all I can tell you, Mushkie, is that I would bet money they just walked in, got a salesperson, didn't get with somebody like me to assist them through the process. And it is what it is. That's what happened. I don't know if that's what happened, but you know what? As we've talked through all this, that's what it sounds like. But regardless, whether it was a bad realtor that they got with that brought them to the sales office, or they didn't have a realtor at all, they just didn't have a good one who would advocate for them. And think about this. Somebody like me brings in multiple people into that sales office, right? So they're definitely going to be giving me probably more attention, since I'm giving them all of these sales, all these customers, rather than just one person, who's over there calling and complaining. So I don't know. All I can tell you is it's best to have somebody like me who takes you over there. And I'm going to tell you, I say this all the time. If you contact these places before you get with me, they're going to have your name in the computer and they're going to say, no, Ira Miller and any other realtor cannot work with you because you're in our system and we procured you as the buyer all on our own, and now you cannot have somebody after the fact come in and advocate for you and assist you through the sales process. It's not going to happen. Once you get in the system, once you call them, once you get a sales packet sent to you and you give them all your information, maybe if you were to say, I saw you on Ira Miller's YouTube channel, and Ira Miller is my realtor, and so he's the reason I'm calling, they might put you down in the computer, but it's not guaranteed. The best way to prevent all this stuff that Mushkie Ptolemus is saying is to call us first. Probably talk to Blakely. She'll be glad to go ahead and fill out the form, send the form in, so now we can help you. And this is a perfect example. So Mushkey-potamus, thank you for all this that you said. I didn't pay you to say it. I didn't ask you to say it. And I'm trying to work through it, but I guarantee you that's probably what happened. All right, so let's move on. They weren't returning calls and emails. Pulte Del Webb were not following up on the punch list. Weren't making their repairs. Well, I would make sure that they would make the repairs, and I would make sure that if you had somebody else to call and email to get taken care of whatever you needed taken care of. All right, IRC dropping in the middle, we talked about that. Jerry Bell, good question. Kate C. Hi, Jerry Bell. Thanks, BJ. So, is it difficult to get a mortgage? So we already answered that. We answered that. We answered all this. So good. I think we're getting caught up. So let me just take a second to make sure that I don't miss out on anyone. So Patricia, I hope you got BJ's contact information either here, and y'all can always rewatch this and get his information again, because it will be back on, right, Christian?
Yes, sir. And it will be saved in the chat as well.
Mr. Sylvan says, here in New England, housing sales have softened, but building materials are still on allocation. That's what's going to keep prices boosted up, or bolstered up, or however you want to say it, in my opinion. Supply chain is still way behind current sales, so that again, but people are really getting nervous right now. People are getting really nervous with the stock market. They're getting really nervous with interest rates, as we can see with the inventory going up. Let's see. Thank you, Kevin, for saying that. Whoops. Quit that retracting. Let's see. All right, so Snowbird question. I think we answered that. So we're to Teresa. No dumb questions. How many of you, like me, just thought, challenge accepted? Okay, and everybody thanks BJ. Hope BJ knows that. Thanks, Ira, for all the free information you always give us. We really appreciate your welcome, wrestler. And thank you for joining this evening. As always, we love having you on. You always advocate for me. You always ask for the thumbs up. And the subscribers, I sincerely appreciate that and recognize that. And then, oh yeah, Kevin, have fun at the concert. Yeah, that's right, because I'm going to Def Leppard and Motley Crue and Joan Jett, and I always forget the last one. Oh, wait a minute. Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Joan Jett, and gosh.
Someone mentioned it last
It's not Foreigner. Anyways, Father's Day is when I'm headed there. So I won't see you to the day after. Again, I'll let you know. Maybe I'll share some concert pictures with you. Okay, Janice, we missed the reverse mortgage question when BJ was here. So we need to remember that one.
Said Def Leppard.
So Sylvan, yeah, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Joan Jett, and there's one more. Can't remember.
Blackhearts?
Nope, that's Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Oh.
All right, so what are the price points at Citrus Hills inside the gate? Can you explain the inside the gate versus outside the gate? I don't understand the differences. So there are amenities for villages of Citrus Hills. There's Tierra Vista, which is inside the gates. You have high-end amenities. And then outside the gate, I think one of the amenity areas is the Tiki Bar. Everybody talks about the Tiki Bar at the villages of Citrus Hills outside the gate. So you have to pay extra. If you live outside the gate, you have to pay extra to use the amenities inside the gate. But if you live inside the gates, you get all the amenities outside and inside. Price points are lower. I'd say they're probably about $350 to $450 outside the gates. There's even some lesser expensive homes actually, but they're older, they're smaller. It just depends on what you're looking for. Inside the gates, I'd say they start at $375 and go up to over $1 million. Let's see. 2 questions. Do you do property management for part-time rentals in the villages? Yes, we do. Go to www.erarents.com. Bam. Christian's going to write it right down here. www.erarents.com. That's our website to this brokerage where I work. And then, is there a market for rentals outside of the in-season time when we would be using the property January, February, March? So there is, but you're really shooting yourself in the foot. Just being honest. January, February, March is where you make most of your money. January, February, March is where you'd pay for the whole home for the entire year. Outside of that, this is a pretty popular community. It depends. It depends on where your property is located. If you can rent it outside of the January, February, or March months, I would say, first of all, you want to be as close to a square as possible, because most of the people come in here to enjoy the entertainment and the camaraderie that people have and the shopping at the square. So try to get as close to a square as possible, and then as nice of a home site as possible. So if you can get one on a lake, if you get one on a golf course, that's going to help with your, and then if you have a golf cart that goes along with the rental, that's huge too. Golf carts range anywhere from $300 to $500 a month. So that's what people save when a rental comes with a golf cart. So you probably want to make the investment of a golf cart for your renters. So hopefully that helps. So do you or one of your hundreds of agents that work for you over cover Solavita? Another possibility wife and I are looking at. So it seems like Solavita has kind of stepped up. I've had some people go over there and check it out. It's not like it used to be about 10 years ago. I think that's about the last time I was over there. It was 8 to 10 years ago. So I understand it was the surrounding area. There was just nothing around it that made it not so attractive. But anyways, I understand that's different. I welcome the opportunity to go there. So if you're interested in going, let me know. We'll drive, even with these gas prices, we'll drive down to Kissimmee where Solavita is. Give me a chance to check it out as well. It's about an hour and a half from here. Okay, please send me some information. Please send me some listings. So Patricia Navarro. Christian, go ahead and write this down. We'll have Blakely send her some listings. I'm in your system, so you have my information. Thank you so much, and so happy to do that for you. Ira, have you had much business in Harbor Hills? I like Harbor Hills. Actually, Harbor Hills is a place I was going to move to. It's a kid-friendly community. It's not a 55-plus community, but it is a private country club community. Love the architecture, love the size of the lots that you get, and I love the hills that are in Harbor Hills. There are some really nice hilly areas inside Harbor Hills, so I like it. Not a lot of amenities. They do have a golf course. They do have a tennis club. They have one country club pool. They do have a small fitness area. They do have handball courts or racquetball courts. And they have a nice little bar and grill and a restaurant. But it's pretty cool because the racquetball courts, the bar and grill, and the fitness center are all downstairs of the clubhouse. So I like it. I've done a little bit of business over there. Pretty much my business is primarily 55 plus active adult communities. So I've sold and I've listed and sold a few homes in there, not a whole lot, but it's kind of, they do have a little marina in there too, where if you had a boat, you could launch it at the marina and go on out Lake Griffin, and they'll tie you into the chain of lakes. So you have Lake Griffin, Lake Harris, Lake Eustis, Little Lake Harris, and I think you could get to Lake Dora as well. So do all the boating you could possibly do. I will be looking for pre-owned courtyard villas. This is Pine River. Ira, I will be looking for pre-owned courtyard villa between 466 and 44. I know if seller has it listed with the realtor, it would be in the MLS. But if seller has it listed with the villages, will it show up in the MLS, or do I need to work with a sales agent from the villages too? You must work with an agent in the villages to show you and sell you one of those homes. Go to thevillages.com and then Our Homes, click on Our Homes, and you'll see all the homes that they have listed. I have been known to show their homes because if there's like one home or two homes, I don't mind going with you. We'll call the sales agent, we'll ask them to run over, open the home for us. If it's a bunch of homes, like if it's 4 or 5 homes, then I would just suggest you just call the village's agent yourself. So I guess I just actually answered your question, Amanda. I am allowed to assist you with looking at VLS listings. All right, gotta go. So thank you, Wrestler. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thanks, everybody. Sue. Hi, Sue. Thank you for joining us this evening. It is almost, 8 o'clock. Very good session. Love the evening. I want to thank all of you guys. I'm here for you in the VLS, in the MLS, whatever works for you. Sola Vida, Villages of Citrus Hills. Let's go check out these communities. Like I said, we'll check out the communities first, then we'll look at the homes. If we go as far away as a place like Sola Vida or Villages of Citrus Hills, which is about an hour from here, maybe a little less, we'll go ahead and look at some homes while we're there too, because of the distance. But if we're just looking in this area and we have all of these communities to check out, let's do the communities first, then we'll settle on a community and look at homes from there, okay? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, William, John, Sandy, Jerry, Sue, Sandy, thank you all. Marcia, Mr. Sylvan, I appreciate all of you joining in. Kevin, you're probably gone, as you usually are. Thanks again. We'll see you in 2 weeks.